Welcome to Transforming and Thriving with best friends Brooke and Stacie,
a podcast dedicated to women sharing their inspirational stories.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back. We're so excited for our show today. I'm Brooke.
And I'm Stacie, and we have a special guest today who we're going to be interviewing. Her name is Micole Noble, and personally, I've had the pleasure of not only becoming dear friends with Micole, but she has been a mentor to me and my personal and professional life coach for a number of years now. Micole is a Chopra Global mentor coach. She's also a transformational leader and a 2-time Amazon #1 best-selling author. These books you can find online. One of them is called Sacred Spaces, Subtle Shifts for Mind, Body, and Home Transformation. And the other one, I actually was a co-author with her and a number of other amazing women. We each had chapters in this book, The Queen Bee, Embody Your Truth and Live Fully Expressed. Micole has educated, coached, and mentored, I don't even know how many people, tons of, mostly women, I believe, but some men, including my husband, for Chopra Global, both in person and online, since 2011. She has been a yoga instructor. She has taught Ayurveda and also mindfulness and meditation. That's actually how I first hired her. She was my meditation coach. She has had a true devotion to travel and transformation that has fueled her passion for creating sacred spaces to retreat in fabulous places like Lumeria Maui Retreat Center, where I went with her on a retreat as guests, actually. Now she's leading her own. More to be explained later and shared with everyone. She definitely has a heart-centered approach to everything she does, and she deeply listens to others with curiosity and joy. I personally have experienced, and I know many others have reported, feeling lighter, living more on purpose after working with her, and feeling more connected to themselves and those around them. I'm very excited to have her here and looking forward to hearing what she has to share with all of us about her amazing transformation.
Yes, it's such an honor to have you here, Micole. How are you doing today?
I'm well. Thank you so much. This is exciting. I love this, to be with you.
As Stacie mentioned, we've had the pleasure of working with you, and she took the words right out of my mouth. I really just gained so much from my experience with you. It had such an impact on my everyday because now I meditate twice a day, and it really has transformed my just general peace and the way I approach things. It is a practice, as I learned from you, and we're just so grateful to have you here, as our guides, and now putting it out there to continue to guide others. Can't wait to dive in and hear more about your story and learn more from you. So, can you share about a major transition that you would say marked your before and after in your life?
Yeah, so I distinctly remember being a mom of 2 young, rambunctious boys and having a corporate 9 to 5. I was commuting 2 hours a day at least. And although I loved what I did, I had a great job. I was, for all intents and purposes, feeling fulfilled on an occupational level, but spiritually and personally, I was really struggling just to find true fulfillment. So I just started questioning things, my mid 30s, and just knew there had to be something more out there. And I just wanted to go on this journey to discovering what that was. And I say I'm a recovering type A. My husband and I were, dual income, and, we had a beautiful home, and, all of these things that, we had worked so hard for. And so to leave all of that and, not sort of know what my next step was going to be or where I was headed, it really was taking a leap of faith. And for me, like I said, being a planner and always knowing my next steps, that was not something that was familiar at all. And you mentioned, Brooke, the importance of meditation. Mm-hmm. I had been on my own journey to learning to meditate. I was horrible at it at first. Again, being very type A, like all of us here. So I remember the struggle. And that really started me on my own path to going within for the answers. And, everyone would tell me that, or I would hear that all the answers are within. And I'm like, I'm going in. I want the answers, right? And I just discovered so much more, right? Than just the answers to intellectual questions that I had. And so that began sort of this commitment that I now have to leading others through transformation, starting with connecting with themselves through meditation and all of these things that I've learned over the years at Chopra, and the amazing places that I've been so gifted to be able to study.
When you look back, was there like a specific moment when you were like, oh my gosh, I really need to make this major shift? Was there a moment or an experience or a memory that you think back on that was the one that kind of led you to go down a different path?
Yeah, I do remember having moments, right, of just feeling that I was not succeeding at being a parent in the way I wanted to be. I found myself being very short-tempered and, very reactionary to things, even though we would take beautiful vacations and had a lovely home and my kids were healthy and happy and we have animals and, all of the things, right, that we strive for. There was still that sense of just feeling unfulfilled. And then with that comes the guilt, the mom guilt and the woman guilt of, oh, who am I to be so demanding, right? I have everything, and yet here I am wanting more or wanting something different. So I remember the guilt just being so heavy and paralyzing, honestly, just feeling really stuck in that, right? Because I had built this life to what I thought I wanted it to be. So who am I now to say this isn't it, right? Because that felt like a failure, if you will.
Yeah, I can relate a lot to that. What helped you move through the guilt? Because I think that's something a lot of people can relate to. In whatever form, I can relate to mom guilt, but there's all kinds of guilt of like, oh my gosh, wanting more, wanting something for yourself. What helped you move through that?
Yeah, I think this is a real key thing as we talk about times of transition or spaces in our lives where we just start to question things in a different way. And I think a lot of women, a lot of people go through this, right? As we get older and wiser and get all the things in life and then realize those things are fleeting, that they don't really lead to fulfillment or happiness, right? Overall, then we're just on to striving for the next thing. And so it's like you get caught on this hamster wheel. So I think it was meditating and really connecting to, where is this guilt coming from? And is it true that this makes me a bad person or, right, a bad parent for wanting something more for my own life so that I can be better for everyone else too? Yeah. So making that decision, like I said, it took a leap of faith, and that's not always easy. Really not.
Your perspective is so insightful. And I do remember you sharing that idea of asking yourself the question, is this true? So while I can't relate to the mom guilt, I can definitely relate to the pressure and guilt that I put on myself or from external sources. It can be really challenging to maintain boundaries and stay focused on what we truly want. This idea of success or productivity means different things to everyone. And you're absolutely right. Asking that question to see if these expectations we hold ourselves to are truly our own. The things we say to ourselves, we can evaluate and see if they're aligned with our values. And like you said, are they true? What am I making this all mean? So this concept is so simple, yet really powerful.
I agree.
Thanks for that reflection. Yeah. The truth really is in our hearts. And to get to that, we have to get quiet and start to listen to the whispers, the more subtle. Mm-hmm. This is very loud, right? Our mind, but the heart is, it whispers to us. So that's really that importance of meditation again, to go within and really listen for those answers. So again, it is a practice.
And taking that time to do that. Because
yes.
If we don't, we can't hear the whispers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
What would you say the best advice, other than meditating, maybe for people looking to make that change?
Well, as I said, I have been really fortunate on my own journey to have found tremendous mentors. My coach to this day is my uncle, who we're not blood related, although we're soul mates, we know for sure. He's like a father figure to me and my husband. He's like a grandfather figure to our sons. He's just been a tremendous presence in our lives since we got married. He was our wedding planner. I mean, this goes way, way back to, my husband since we got together, and we've been together since high school. So he has really been a model for these things that I'm coaching people around now, really getting deeper into consciousness and quantum physics, and really, the how of we can create the life we really want. So my own journey really has, grown, having had my own coach, him, along with Cindy Silbert, who came to be known as Cindy Fullenkamp. Unfortunately, she passed away a couple of years ago, and Stacie mentioned the book Queen Bee, which is a tribute to her and her work around archetypes, the archetypes in nature. And one of them is the honeybee. So that's where the Queen Bee title comes from.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and she actually certified me. She was the first one to certify me as a life coach back in 2009. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and working with her to become a coach before I even got to Chopra. So having these mentors, and I say mentors because it really is having these guides who will guide you back to you for the answers. And I did this too. I used to call myself such a groupie. It's how I ended up at Chopra. I was like, oh my God, Deepak Chopra, he's so famous, and all that. And it was like, it's not about following some guru and getting wisdom from what they're telling you. If you really listen to what they're saying, they're guiding you within. So I say, if someone tells you they have the truth of, the absolute truth of the universe, you need to run in the opposite direction because there's no such thing. So I would say that's the biggest thing. And, it's an investment. Even each of you working with me, I'm always so amazed and inspired by those that really are willing to invest in themselves in this way. And I was always willing because I knew that it was going to come back when I least expected it, right? When we invest in ourselves first, that creates a momentum, that creates the life we want. And we need guides and mentors sometimes to do that. And that's okay. Even coaches need coaches. I'm a coach mentor now, so I get to coach coaches. And that's what I say to them. Even I have a coach. If you're not investing in you, good luck trying to get someone to invest, in you as a coach. It's got to start with you first, right? So people think, oh, when I have the money, I'll invest in a coach and do all these things for myself. It doesn't work that way. It actually works the opposite.
That's really good advice. I think having those mentors, like you said, to guide you to go within.
Now, I remember when I was working with you, you talked about this concept of the unlearning that needs to take place and how we attach ourselves to materialistic things, and it almost becomes this identity and can really confuse us on what is important and who we really are. Can you share a little bit more about the concept of unlearning?
Yes, I can. And same thing. I think just looking back on my own journey and in the beginning, wanting to go in for answers, right? It's like, I want to know. Tell me what to do. Give me the how, trying to figure it out from a mental perspective. And the more I got into these spiritual teachings and yoga and meditation and Ayurveda, right, being based in nature and just really getting back to basics. And I used to say that when I would teach yoga, that yoga and meditation is not learning anything new. It's remembering where you came from.
I love that.
And in order to do that, in order to remember, we have to let go. We've got to let go of the conditioning and all of the things that have covered up who we really are. The identity, the me, the mine, the house, the cars, the kids, all the things that are supposed to make up who we are, or we think are supposed to make up who we are, right? So that's what I discovered for myself. It was like the more I would let go of stuff, because you can't lose something you're not feeling an attachment to. And we get very attached to these things, right? That's again, we think, oh, I own this house. No, the bank actually owns my house. They get down to it. But truly, right? You can't take it with you. So there's just these things that we tell ourselves that, going back to Brooke, what you said, like really questioning and reflecting on, is this even true? What I'm making all this mean? And, all the attachment I have to all this stuff, material things, right? That, just at the end of the day aren't what's really important. So I truly believe, and I believe I shared this in the chapter for the Queen Bee, sort of my own journey to becoming, to now, creating retreats and places for people to come to get away from their own environment, right? That's the importance of retreat, is to be able to go and unravel some of this stuff and to let it go, leave it there. Don't take it home with you.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
that's what this is. It's a journey of discovery and uncovering what's in the way of you really knowing who you are.
Very beautifully put. Yeah, when you're talking about the unlearning and the questioning our beliefs, I remember specifically one of the exercises I did with you. I think it was called belief management. I used it again and again for various situations and beliefs I was trying to question. And I found that to be extremely helpful, just questioning, like, is this true? And, just questioning the things that we just assume our mind is telling us is true. And our thoughts speak loudly. And I love that you said the heart whispers. I think that's beautiful and just such a good reminder. I know you touched on retreats, and I personally am really excited. And hopefully, when I can find the time or get the mom guilt to dissipate for a while, I'm going to come on one of your longer retreats. But I would love for you to share a little bit more about all of the upcoming offerings that you have, just because I think that there are so many people that are probably needing or wanting either one-on-one support or heard the retreat and they're like, oh, sign me up. I want to know about retreats. Where are you going? And I know you have some exciting ones coming up. I'd love for you to share a little bit more about those. And we'll also put things in notes for the episode as well, so people can find links to you, your social media, and what's coming up. But I'd love to hear a little bit more about some of the upcoming ones.
Yes, of course. So I have a retreat coming up in April of 2025. I'm taking a group to India to an Ayurvedic center that I myself have visited and just want to take people back to experience. I've never experienced such perfect health as I did when I left 14 days after being there in India at this Ayurvedic village. And so that's coming up, and still I have a couple spots open for next March, the 19th through April 4th. So it is a trek to get there, but really what you get for 14 days of treatments and doctor, consults and yoga and meditation and all the things, great food, and just that epic experience of traveling to India. It's very affordable. And then I'm in the works for another Maui retreat. Stacie and I had the privilege of going to Maui together with my mentor, as I said, Cindy Silbert. And that's been some time ago, but I still hold that spot very dear to me. So that's coming up, more details about that. And then I have an idea for Sedona retreat next year as well. Yeah.
I want to go to all.
Yeah, I know. Come to all of them. So signing up for my newsletter is really the best way to get emails about different things as I offer them. I do post on social as well. I don't send out a monthly newsletter, so I won't inundate people with emails. But if I have something new that I'm sharing, then I usually send it out that way. So signing up at MicoleNoble.com for my newsletter is the best way to get those details.
Awesome.
Oh, and Micole, if it's all right, I would love to just mention some of the current offerings that I know you and I chatted about for people who maybe want to start coaching with you or just try it out. You can be found at your website, www.MicoleNoble.com. That's with an M, not an N. M, like mama. And I know the online comprehensive assessment that I did with you was super helpful. And I know that's something that you do at the start of coaching with everyone. And I think you're currently offering it for free now based on what you mentioned for people to go through and do that. It's a comprehensive assessment looking at all areas of your life and just kind of rating where you're at and any changes that you want to make and then helping you hone in on what a couple of goals are. And I know you mentioned you're going to be offering a free session to go over all of the results and what that means. So I think that's a great, valuable resource. And I'm so glad that you're offering that. And I found that to be personally very helpful. So just wanted everyone to know. And yeah, they can find you through your website and just contact you directly.
Any final thoughts that you wanted to end with, part with?
I'm just really present to the power of community and collaboration, opportunities like this to be with you and to really just honor women like you who are very committed to their own transformation and wanting to share that with others. You know, for me, it's my mission to serve others by supporting them and getting clear about what they really want in their life and then how to get there. And so this podcast, I think, is a great resource for that too. So I'm super excited to see what you girls have in store and be one of your first guests. Truly, it's an honor. So thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. It's an honor to have you. You've been such a huge part of my transformation that is ongoing. That's why we call it transforming and thriving. But you've been a huge part of that process. Both of you, actually. It's amazing just having the three of us together right now for me. Just thinking back to all the things that you've been there for me through and all the things you've witnessed me growing and working through. So yeah. And Micole, like I said, I consider you a mentor and a dear friend. And I think that you are such a valuable resource for so many people. So I'm so happy that we not only got to have you on the podcast, but that we're able to share some of your offerings and upcoming retreats with other people, because I think you are a blessing for so many.
Thank you so much. And you, Stacie, have seen me as well on my journey. And it's such a beautiful reminder that it is a journey, not a destination. That there's somewhere to get to, I think, is something else we tell ourselves. And so when we are present and connected to our hearts and who we really are, we just get to enjoy every single moment because that's all there is. So what a beautiful thing we get to do, right? Remind people who they are and where they've come from and that there's nowhere to go.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for your time and your energy as always. We're so grateful for you.
Awesome. Thank you, girls.
To all of our listeners, thank you for joining us on this episode of Transforming and Thriving. If you find these stories as inspiring as we do, please follow us on your favorite podcast app and follow us on Instagram so you can be part of this community and stay up to date with each episode. Check out our website as well at transformingandthriving.com for resources and a deeper dive into each woman's story. And if you like what we're doing here, leave a review so we can get your valuable feedback and other women can find these powerful stories. We're all in this crazy life together, so let's move through it together. See you there.